Hey everyone, KD316 here, and I just finished a very tough top split A-class race. There was so much tight racing, and there were a lot of wrecks, but everyone was super apologetic about it, and they were all just really racing incidents. So it was actually the most okay I've ever felt being wrecked. It was such a tight, awesome race, and this was top split, and I was the 30 car out of 30, so I had to fight hard to move up through the field, and because of that, I learned a lot. So here are my tips this week for racing at Pocono. The first tip is more of a warning. Restarts are crazier than usual because you start on such a long straight on one of the wider tracks in the Cup Series. People like to take it 4 wide, they go very fast, and there could possibly be a lot of carnage, so really keep your head up and be aware. Really stay focused on those restarts and really try to avoid the wrecks. The next tip I have is be very careful on corner exit, especially of this final turn here right before the start finish line. You can get very loose early in a run when your tires are still a little cold, and you can lose a lot of time either trying to save the car or you might even wreck yourself. It didn't happen a lot in this race, but in a truck race I was running earlier, people were really struggling early in a run. So when you switch tires and get pits, watch out for that. For the third tip, especially early on in my iRacing life here at Pocono, I was making this mistake a lot, but be aware that breakpoints are constantly changing. I used to look at the cones on the side of the fence to see where to get off the throttle, when to accelerate, but at this track there's just a lot of dirty air and the draft is really strong that it really affects each turn every single lap. It's going to be different every time, so don't rely on certain markers to tell you when to get off the gas, when to get back on. Instead, really become familiar with the car and feel it out. Listen to what the car's telling you, feel that force feedback, and drive accordingly. Tip number 4 is one mistake could really cost you. This is me in the 30 car, and I messed up right here, got a little too low on the apron, caused me to slip up, I had to save it, and instead of just one car passing me, what happened was 3 cars passed me. They actually took me 4 wide, as you can see right there, and I lost 3 spots, all because I just had a small slip on the apron. This track is brutal because the draft is so high. You do not want to mess up. It is better to just stay consistent. Focus on your consistency. Speaking of the draft, that brings me to tip number 6, which is really plan your passes. Be really intentional about them, almost like a road course race in an open wheeler. Because if you just feel like you're faster than another guy and you get out of the draft, like the 8 car here, instead of passing the guy in front of you, you could again lose 3 spots. So be very careful about making your passes. You don't want to get strayed out of the draft like the 8 car right there. Could cost you big time. For me personally, by the middle of the race, I found out that I really like, surprisingly, passing on the outside. You can see here me right behind the 4 car. Instead of passing on the inside on the straight, I waited till we got to the corner and then went on the outside of him, and that squeezed him in because he couldn't push up into me, and I was able to make the pass. It's similar to how you can pass on the outside of Martinsville. You can squeeze someone in because they won't want to push up into you, hopefully, and then you can make a pass. So even though it seems like you should pass on the inside, give it a shot, experiment. The outside line could actually work great for you. And my final tip is don't focus too much on tire wear. Oftentimes in this video, I tell people save your tires. Here, while you shouldn't go all out and use them all up, I found that no matter what you do, how safe you are, your tires are going to wear at a pretty similar rate to everybody else. So just focus on staying consistent and holding your position. In fact, if you get in the right position, for me this was lap 22 out of 30, there's a yellow flag. I thought about not pitting. I was too soft, I decided to pit. But I might have been able to gain 10 spots and finish 10 places higher than I did by not pitting, because what ended up happening, because the restarts are crazy, is that a caution came out and another one came out, and we ended up with a green-white checkered. I probably would have gotten past, but my track position put me far enough that I probably would have still ended up a higher position than I finished. So that is my final tip, and maybe a risky strategy to take if you want to. You have to be smart about it. You have to know the field, know where you are, know how many laps are left. But tire wear is not as important to manage as in other tracks, in my opinion. I hope these tips helped you out. If you have any more, please put them in the comments below, because Pocono is a very tricky track. It is the tricky triangle after all. Hope you go out there and get some wins. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if this helped you. Have a great day.